Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning back in for another episode. I am trying to get cleaned up here in the basement bait shop. It is unbelievable to me. Every time I clean up, it takes like a week and it turns into a cluster. It is an absolute cluster in here again because now I've got everything that I had in my boat from last year is sitting down here in the room that needs to go in the new boat, but I can't put it in quite yet. So it's kind of just a disaster. I need to just get organized. And one of the things that is involved in this process is me going through all of those tackle boxes that I put in my tournament boat and weeding through them to pull baits out that I don't want, to restock in baits that I do want, check hooks. I just go through every bait that I've got. And every year there's a little bit of a process of, I'm going to replace some with baits that I have that maybe I think will just be better based on the schedule that I've got next year. And it's interesting to me because what I generally do is, say if I'm looking at crankbaits, which is in this case what I was doing, I take my crankbait box, I look at all the baits, and when I take the baits out that I want to replace, I put them back into other boxes with crankbaits. Well, when I do that, I see all these other crankbaits that bring back memories, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to take one of those and I'm going to put it back in my box because it might work this year for where I'm going. And that's what's happened in this case. I've gone through a bunch of my crankbaits and I've pulled some baits out, and I'm going to put some old school baits in that I used to throw all the time, and I just haven't thrown much recently. And I thought they deserved to go back in the tournament crankbait boxes. So that's what I'm going to do today. Is I'm going to show you 5 baits that I've pulled from the old boxes that they were sitting on the bench, and they're going now in the starting box, starting lineup. So let's talk a little bit about each of these. I'd love to know from you guys as well if these are baits that you've had success with over the years. Now, I'm not even sure if some of these are still made or not made. I think most of these probably are not made at this point. I think they're all probably, I'm going to say roughly 20 years old, somewhere in that range. So it's not a surprise, I guess, that they've been discontinued, but they all work really well. So the first one, I've got a whole box of these guys. This is the Norman Mad N, and it's the Coffin bill. So this is a really good little square bill. I've had a lot of success fishing this in various places. It was at one point one of my favorite square bills, and I've put it away. You can actually see this is one I've caught a lot of fish on. Maybe you can see all the scrape marks on it, the teeth marks. This specific one has been a really good bait for fishing rivers for me. It's a unique color. You don't see that color often, but it deserves to go back in the lineup. Now, I will say I'm only putting one of those in. I've got probably 7 or 8 of them, but that's the one I'm putting in for one specific tournament this year that I think it could be a player. So next up, we've got this guy right here. This is a Berkeley Frenzy Rattler. This is a lipless crankbait when they came out with the Frenzy line, which in my opinion was probably one of the best hard bait lineups that didn't get the love it deserved. There's a lot of people out there that will look at the Frenzies. There's a whole bunch of different baits, hard baits within the Frenzy line. There's a lot of people that say this was one of the best overall fish catching baits or lineups, the Frenzies, and I really like the Rattler. This one specifically is just a really good bait at, again, fishing around areas where you're going to throw your lipless crankbaits, but it just had a good knack for catching a bunch of fish when other ones were not generating as many bites. And what I would find a lot of times is if they were slapping at, say, other lipless, they would eat this one. So I've got, again, a pile of these, but kicking off the season at Sam Rayburn, known for its lipless crankbaits, I'm grabbing a couple of these, going to throw it in my lipless crankbait box. There's just days where that Frenzy, that Rattler works really well. Hasn't been made in a while, but still goes for a pretty decent price if you're looking on the secondary market. There's a lot of people that also like that one. Next up, this is one, if you know, you know. This is the, it's a old Daiwa. This is the TD Crank SF, the chartreuse blue color. This little guy has put tons of bass in the boat for me. Not sure why I ever really took it out of the starting lineup, but I'm putting it back in the starting lineup box. This is one that there's days where it's just like you've got tough days with crankbaits and it just tends to get bit really well. It's a good one at putting numbers of fish in the boat. You know, it's a smaller profile crankbait, just gets bit. So I don't know why I necessarily took it out, but I'm putting it back in. And it's a really good one for multi-species as well. If you're fishing lakes with spotted bass, it works great on them. Works great on smallmouth, works great on largemouth. Just a really good crankbait that somehow worked its way out of my starting lineup, but it's going back in. I don't know how much use it's going to get. It's just one that I like having with me for certain circumstances where it's like, man, yep, that would have been a good one to have. This guy, a lot of you are probably familiar with it. The Baby 1- by Mann's. This has just got a really good, strong following. Most of the people prefer the older models. I think they're still made to this day, but I know most people will pay a hefty price for some of the old ones. This is one of those baits that I used to throw a ton of. I've caught so many bass on these, and it just kind of moved out of the bait box again. And the reason I pulled this one out, I did a video not too long ago talking about like big crankbaits for really cold water presentations where you basically fish them like a wake bait. This is one of those baits that falls into that category. It has got a lot of fish catches under its belt. I thought there could be a couple presentations this year where I think it could be a player based on some springtime tournaments. And from that standpoint, the old Baby 1- is going back in. And then last but not least, this is another one I don't think ever really got its fair share. This is the Rapala Risto Rap. Man, I've got a pile of these. I got a bunch that I had custom painted as well. Just another really good fish catcher. It's kind of like a hybrid between the Rapala Shad Wrap and like their Fat Wrap. It's got a just different look to it, unique look. Really hardcore group of anglers that really like to throw these. And we're going to a few lakes this year that I've had good success on this bait in the past, specifically this color. This is the silver blue color. It's got the orange belly, chrome sides, really good bait color. So I'm grabbing a couple, throwing it into the box. Again, just one that, you know, I like having with me. It's hard to sit here and say that every bait in my boxes will get thrown, because it's not going to be that way. When you look at my crankbait boxes, they are just filled to the point where I can't even shut the lids. A lot of this I feel like is more about comfort and confidence for myself, where I like having the baits I need. And at the start of the year, I always like to try to envision some of the baits that I know I will want, because a lot of these lakes I've been to in the past, some of them have been 15, 20 years ago. So from that standpoint, it's like I like to look back and say, hey, when I was there, what did I catch them on? The reality is a lot of times those baits are old and discontinued at this point, but they're all good baits to have. And I'm putting them out in the starting box, and maybe we'll do a video. Let me know if you want a video on the baits that I'm pulling out of the box so that I can make room for these. If that's something you want, let me know in the comment section. I can throw that. I can make that video as well. So thanks for watching. Appreciate all the support. Stay tuned. New video coming out tomorrow.